Welcome to the Digital Marketing Fluid podcast, where we talk about new tricks that people are doing in the digital marketing space. I'm your host, Paul Matthew. I help businesses communicate their mission through online video. Today, I have Tom Norton. He is the general manager for WKTV, and he wears many hats, one of which is digital marketing. So tell me a little bit about what that entails.
Digital marketing for WKTV, essentially, we kind of take a spherical approach to our digital marketing efforts, and that usually entails using multiple platforms to help satisfy multiple needs.
And are you the only one who does it, or do you have a group of people, a team that works with you?
Well, it's no. There is, in a perfect world, there would be a group of people. There would be a department that I could walk down the hallway to the department and say, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z. Usually that involves me walking in a small circle in my office and pretending that I'm going down to the media department, the marketing department, to discuss what's the future need. We have brought on freelancers in the past, which has been good, and we get a wide variety of opinions by bringing in freelancers, that's been very, very, very a rich experience for us. The marketing thrust that we use is not so much dependent upon, for our perspective, is not so much dependent upon the platform, which really is a technical thing, as opposed to the devising of a campaign.
So you handle the campaign then, right?
I'm more of the creative side of a campaign.
Yeah. So you're
slogans, logos, funny phrases, using humor to kind of engage an audience, things like that.
So WKTV is basically nonprofit community media, for those who don't know, and it's
who wouldn't know?
Well, now you know.
I've been working hard on this marketing,
and so. Which is comparable to basically being a small business owner.
Yep, exactly.
You have a lot of responsibilities. So any small business owner can relate to your work-life balance, where there's a million and one things going on.
There's no walls of separation in that quote-unquote work-life balance. Work and life are often intertwined.
And what advice would you have as someone who's done a good job with your social media and being able to keep that up while balancing all your other hats? What are some of the key things that you think you could pass on to another person?
I think one of the best things in terms of advice to anybody else in a small business environment that is, realizing that they have to engage in social media, they have to engage in digital marketing, is that work consciously to prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed, which is very, very easy
to do. I'm a solopreneur, so
solopreneur.
Overwhelm is a very easy thing to come by.
Yep. and because there are so many demands, so many needs in so many different directions, and there's only one person with two arms and 24 hours in a day.
Do you batch your content out, or do you do it right then and there and post?
Usually right then and there and then post. I mean, usually something is like when, for the creative side of this again, and not so, and I know you're very much tuned into the technical side, the A/B sides of Facebook marketing and Google AdWords and so on and so forth. Usually the paradigm that exists within my world is driving to work in the morning. I have a 20-minute commute, and it's usually thinking about something, or I will see something on television at home, or I will see something, in my free time, because, in any quote unquote position like this, you really don't have free time.
Yeah.
You're always thinking of you just are.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility.
Doesn't turn off.
No. It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
It's my task. So because of that, and quite often when I'm driving to work, I will think of something that a new way, or I'll see a bumper sticker, or I'll see a billboard, or something that inspires you, or just, fires the synapse in the brain, and then boom, I go into work, and then, I will carve out a little bit of time that day to create something. I'm pretty good at Photoshop, and and that's just one of the things. And it allows for speed. I mean, that's
very important.
And speed is very important. The downside as such is that it doesn't allow for real development, a real development of the idea.
Yeah.
Because you got the idea on your drive in at 7 a.m. and you've got a window just before lunch to kind of execute this. So you've got 20, 30 minutes in front of Photoshop. Boom, 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 boom. It's gone by 1 p.m. and you're done. And that's it.
I remember having a conversation with you before where you utilized interns and people on your team to create content that you could post. Yeah. So that's another strategy. Have you used that much, or is that
not at this point? I mean, like anyone, like any organization where there's only a few employees, and few by, we don't have 50 employees. Any organization, you just don't have the luxury of being able to pursue where we're all going to, every Tuesday is our marketing meeting, and we're all going to sit down and we're going to create this methodology that we're all going to pursue, this marketing course, and then into that is going to come the design for the logo and the design for the email campaign and the social media. And Charlie here is doing social media, and Sam here is doing Constant Contact, and Susie May is doing Twitter, and that exists in very large corporations, and who have those beautifully polished marketing campaigns. That just does not exist with small businesses or small nonprofits like we are. So, you do what you can, when you can, how you can. I mean, that's it. And there's a certain level of satisfaction that you get, because the beauty of social media marketing, social media online marketing, digital marketing, the beauty of that is that it does produce results that are seeable.
And you can track that. Yeah.
And you can track
it's
those
measurable.
Results. Even on a small scale, such as this, it does produce results that you can see. You do get immediate responses to an email campaign. You do get immediate responses to a social media campaign. It may not be in the numbers that you would love, but you do get response.
Exactly.
Whereas in the old days, you would buy you'd spend a couple $1,000s on a full page ad in the Grand Rapids Press.
Yeah.
And that ad would run in the Sunday paper, and you would sit and wait.
That actually kind of leads me into one of my questions I've written down here, and that's, you have a background in traditional media or advertising, like you've done that method. What are some pros and cons between old media and new media?
Old media had a that's an interesting term. Old media, geriatric media. Now, old media had there was never a rush. There was never this instantaneous. I mean, we don't even say immediacy. We'll say instantaneous. I mean, that just didn't exist. It wasn't a part of its MO.
How would you measure whether it was working for you or not? What were some of the parameters in place to evaluate that?
The big thing with traditional advertising was repetition. That was the big thing. So you just didn't take out one full page ad in the Sunday paper. You took out a full page ad every Sunday for 2 months. You spent $20,000 on those full page ads, and then you would see results in sales if you were a retail operation or what have you. And that was the biggest buyers of the full page ads back in the day, via print media. And television was the same. It was the 30-second ad that you bought on the local affiliate, and you got that placed, if you were lucky, just before the weather or just after the weather when, the viewership of the local newscast was at its peak. And you did that repetitiously over the course of a month. And then that's what, really engaged your audience and produced sales if you're a retail operation. But today, and I think what's better today, and that's the pro of then. The pro of then is that it was slower. It wasn't as hectic. But the downside of then is that you bought that 30-second ad, that full-page ad in print or broadcast media, and you spent money on a lot of eyeballs that could have cared less about your full-page ad. They could have cared less about your 30-second television ad. They weren't interested in it, but you were spending money on them seeing it because the back then the television stations determined the cost of that ad based on the numbers of eyeballs, regardless of whether those eyeballs were interested.
Yeah.
And now the beauty of the social media and the online and the digital marketing is that you can specifically target via proven interests
and
that they have.
And what would you say is the comparison of cost between that? So 1,000 eyeballs on TV versus 1,000 targeted eyes on social media.
I would say that the cost is virtually comparative. I mean,
you're getting the same price, but one's targeted and one's not.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting a deal from Facebook.
No.
I don't think we're getting a deal from Google. We're not. They're not dumb. They're not giving anything away for free. They're not giving anything away at a reduced price. We are paying for what we're getting. What social media and digital marketing has allowed, it has allowed small businesses, small nonprofits with limited cash reserves to become players in the advertising marketplace. Whereas before, 25 years ago, this nonprofit, would never have had the financial means to buy full-page ads in the Grand Rapids Press because those full-page ads were, $3,000-$4,000 a pop, and you needed to do like 10 of them. So you needed to allocate significant financial resources, which you did. So you didn't even have a seat at the table. Serious television advertising, serious print advertising, magazines, newspapers, that was reserved for the big guys. And what the digital revolution has done is provided us with a seat at that table, and we are able to participate in that game. But obviously, cost analysis wise, the big people like, say, for instance, Gordon Food Service, which is a major corporation right here in Wyoming. Gordon Food Services has, significant financial resources to really engage Facebook users and online people nationwide to the tune of, I'm sure their Facebook bill is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But the difference also is when you were fighting for, say, a spot on TV, they had a certain amount of allocation for the time, and that was one channel. And so that had a higher value because there wasn't as much separation. It was a limited quantity. Whereas Facebook, you're now dividing it. You're not competing for the same spot on their Facebook. You're competing for, these people are the people I want to target. So they could be spending millions of dollars on a different group of people. And if you try to market to that group, your price is going to go way up because it's a bidding strategy.
Right.
So that's going to be a higher bid. But if you can niche yourself down and zero in on a smaller market where the big guys aren't dumping tons of cash in, that's where you're going to have a lot more success. And that's how people become successful with Facebook advertising and get a really good ROI because they're not competing against those big guys. They're competing against people that they don't even think about.
Right. And I think that's really, that breaking that down like that is really where you have the biggest benefit to helping small business owners and small nonprofits understand how they can get engaged in digital media marketing. But the age old problem still exists,
Yeah.
and that is that the owner of a small business, the general manager of a small nonprofit, still fights the battle of finite time.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Unless you have a staff person and numbers of staff people that you can do that, but you only do that if you're a larger organization.
Right.
So that doesn't even enter into the equation.
Mm-hmm.
You're still the person that washes the bottles, sweeps the parking lot, maybe cleans the toilets,
Yeah.
and does all the stuff. And plus, by the way, I'm going to do a little bit of digital marketing here.
Yeah.
Some people enjoy that freedom. They enjoy that. To me, I find it goes back and forth, a love-hate
Yeah.
between frustration
Yeah.
and the small victories that you get as a one-man band, two-man band kind of digital marketing outfit. The small victories you get from responses that you can engage. And all at the same time, there is this ongoing feeling that I am only nipping the tip of the iceberg. And I mean, I haven't even begun to really experience what I could experience with this, but I just have to have either the day has to go from 24 hours to 30.
Well, when
or
you could
something else.
reduce your time, and I mentioned this earlier, is batching it out, even though it is a little harder to schedule that time because you have to now allocate a dedicated set amount of time, but the amount of efficiency you can do that, because if you're spreading yourself out through all these little pieces of like, okay, I thought of this, I'll post it, and that took you maybe 10 minutes. But in 10 minutes, if you were in the mindset, you could schedule 3 other posts in that 10 minutes if you were setting aside that time.
Correct, Mundo. There is this level of sophistication that you have to reach. You want to reach.
And there's free tools for scheduling your content out too.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of small business owners and leaders of small NPOs face is this, for lack of a better term, phobia about having to slice out mental space and divert it to something that they understand that maybe that they could benefit from this, but I have these immediate demands that are clear and concise right now, and that takes bandwidth from my brain to get this and this and this and this taken care of. And yes, I know I could benefit from that. I don't really see
ambiguity is our biggest enemy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We don't fully feel like we understand it, and therefore we understand these things, and so we're going to maximize our productivity in the things where the outcome is clear, the scoreboard is clear. You know when you're gaining traction, you know where you're going. Those are the things that you're going to spend more time on versus social media. I know it's important, but I don't have a clear outcome. I don't have a clear score. Yeah. But if you took the time to invest in understanding what your outcome and your scoreboard is, then you'll be able to allocate that time more efficiently and more consciously.
And it's almost where you need some other resource out there to break that down for you, to show you.
There's lots of
put tab
ebooks,
B
tutorials.
into slot A, and this will happen. And Charlie over here did that, and he's increased his sales by 7,000%.
It's not an exact science. It's not A, B, C. It is more of a methodology. You follow the process, and then you optimize that process, and it will bring results. It just takes time and patience and consistency.
All three in short supply.
Yes. But it's a worthwhile investment once you start getting returns on it. And if you don't see the returns on it right away, it gets a little intimidating because you're like, I'm just wasting dollars and time on this thing.
You have you have this great, probably an overused word, but this great democratization of the process. Back in the day, print media and television broadcast media was only available to a select few who were specifically trained in the medium, and now because of social media, and anybody can have a Facebook page, and anybody can have a Facebook account, and anybody can become an ad manager on their Facebook account. You have this great democratization that has, washed over the scene. And because of that, you are now dealing with, you have that option has been placed before a whole range of people that it never would have been placed before in the past. And so you have a lot of people just not understanding and not getting it. And I mean, for instance, a classic case in point is the Metro Cruise here in Wyoming and Kentwood. That happens every year. You know, it's approximately 150,000 people, you know, every August on 28th Street for a classic car event. Okay. And much like the Dream Cruise over on the east side of the state on Woodward Avenue, the retail merchants on Woodward and on 28th Street often complain bitterly about this event because they claim that, and they are upset that their driveways are blocked by traffic and the regular customers do not want to navigate that throng to get to their store to buy the new pair of shoes or to buy whatever. And they don't see the forest. You know, they're mired in their daily tree diet, you know, where they just see the trees day after day after day, and they don't see the forest. And then along comes this event, and my gosh, you have 150,000 people. Yeah. I mean, you have potential customers everywhere, but they don't have that. Just because this democratization of social media has taken place, that doesn't mean that these business owners have the skill to recognize what is as plain as day right in front of them. And so there's this great disconnect that hasn't been bridged.
Yeah, and I
think that people like you, I mean, that would be a great opportunity to help small businesses understand marketing potential, but you're only going to be able to do that, I think, with by showing them quickly, simply, and easily a case study. Yeah. Charlie here, who owns the shoe store down the street, had terrible sales during Metro Cruise for year after year until Charlie figured out he could do XYZ. So he did XYZ, and what do you know? During Metro Cruise, his sales went up 300%. I mean, you say that, you lay that out to a small business owner, they're like, I get it. Yeah. I can do that. I will do that.
Well, I think the biggest misconception when it comes to it is people think on this national or global scale of an economy when it's social media, but you can target geographically in your area. And so you're not competing against global marketplace. You're competing against your local area. And your local area is filled with tons of business owners that don't get it, that don't see it. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of underpriced attention. Yeah. And the biggest thing is it doesn't have to be a super efficient world-crushing ad. It's people just like honesty and transparency, and you don't need high production value. You just need to be in front of a camera and show your personality. Because when you're in front of friends and family and other strangers, when you're talking to them, they trust you because they can see you. They see the name, the person behind the business. Now, if you basically take that concept to scale when you create ads on Facebook, you're just posting a video of yourself talking about something that you're passionate about, that you care about. You post it, and then the ad money is just to get it in front of more eyeballs in your area. And it's actually a lot more efficient, a simpler process than people make it out to be.
Let me ask you about what is, if you had to single out 3 separate techniques, very small, very simple, very easy, tasks that a small business owner, small NPO operator could use to get their ball rolling.
Tasks for like starting the process?
Yeah, starting the process, social media, digital marketing, just 3 tasks.
I would first...
And they don't have to do all 3. They can do any one, or they can do all 3 or whatever.
Oh, so not a 3-step process?
No. I should say you can do X, or you can do Y, or you can do Z, or you can do XYZ. It can do ZYX. I mean...
So one thing you could do is just pull out a camera and start talking about your business or things that you care about that are relevant to your business and posting that. And just, maybe you're doing a giveaway or anything simple. You're just taking the time to pull out your phone. Everyone has a camera these days. You just hit record.
You just need to hold it horizontally, not vertically.
You can even hold it vertically nowadays.
No, our eyeballs are not stacked on top of
people
our
are
head.
watching
Our eyeballs
on their
are side to
phones.
side.
People are watching on their phones now. So so that doesn't matter as much. I mean, it's more cinematic when it's vertical,
Sure.
or horizontal.
It's less annoying too.
Yeah. And then there's also the cropping factor when you're
Right.
watching a vertical video on Facebook and Instagram. It's not the full video.
Sure.
But technical specs aside, just getting that out there and being present. That's one thing you can do. And then another way you could go about it is just if you're not comfortable in front of being on camera,
Right.
or it just like scares you, like no, and maybe you're good at writing. So take the time to write every day. Just think of something that you can talk about, post it, and ask for engagement. Do something that people want to respond to. Like if you're running an ice cream shop, just write up, hey, I really love this ice cream. What's your favorite ice cream? And then just get people engaging.
I love blueberry goo or whatever.
And then the most important thing is respond to those people. Don't just post it, people reply, and then you're ghosting them.
So you hit So you hit on something about is asking them. So I mean, how this is something that I have found out. I mean, how important is the quote unquote survey in that initial engagement?
I'm sorry.
What I have found out is, and a lot of the things that I've done is by asking a question and enticing the viewer, whoever they may be, to respond to the question specifically is a great foot in the door for engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I would, as a rule of thumb, you want I think it was the rule is 80-20 or 70-20-10, where you want most of your content to be just branding, which means you're not asking for a sale. You're not doing anything. Right. You're just building, because marketing is, the way you're selling yourself, but brand is how people think of you, the way you dress. Right. So being present and not thinking, how am I going to make sales? How am I going to get ROI? But how can you just be a genuine person? Think of your business as a person and then just be on there. Instead of posting to your personal Facebook, go to your business one, as long as it's not a personal thing, but just go to your business Facebook and ask, talk to your customers like they're your friends.
Right. And I think, and one of the things too that I've noticed is, and we have multiple Facebook pages here. We have multiple social media platforms here. And the key thing is don't let it get old. Don't let it get stale. Don't let someone come to your Facebook page and see that it hasn't been updated in 3 months. That's bad. An idle Facebook page is more dangerous than not having one at all.
Yep. So if you can't consistently post on it, I don't even make one, because then you're just going to be hurting yourself.
Right. And you can post anything.
It's like the yellow pages of today.
Right.
Yeah. People often go to Facebook or any other social platform just to verify that you're legit. That's basically your credibility builder. If you find a business and then you look on their Facebook and they got 20 people liking it and they haven't posted in over a year, I don't even know if they're still open.
That's interesting. You mentioned Yellow Pages. Are you old enough to remember Yellow Pages?
I do remember Yellow Pages.
You do remember Yellow Pages?
I didn't really use them much. I was a kid, so I was just like, ooh, big books.
Big books. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Because how long have Yellow Pages been gone? They've been gone.
They have an online version of it now.
Yeah, but the actual gigantic phone book.
You still get them.
I think they still exist. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would
Whether
any?
you want them or not, they get sent to you.
Really? Because they used to be delivered. They were delivered here every year up until about 2005. Is when they stopped delivering them here. We would get 3-4 of these giant phone books.
And also, you always want to think about your target market whenever you're picking the
Good
platform
segue.
you want to advertise on. So if you're advertising, because I'm sure there are people that still read yellow books. They're probably older. There's a specific type of person that still uses those, but they're still used. They're still sold. So if that is your market, invest in a yellow book ad versus a Facebook ad if your audience isn't going to be on Facebook.
My 85-year-old mother is on Facebook and on social
Yeah,
media. I
pretty
don't
much.
think she goes through her
Yeah.
yellow. I don't think she has a yellow pages anymore.
Not everyone though, but
Save the trees.
Just understand who you're talking to.
Right. Exactly. Precisely.
So now I want to shift gears a little bit here and have you talk about the Eclipse Awards. So you run a campaign to promote that, and it's a lot like taking traditional media, TV, broadcast, and putting it on social media where you would do a live stream with all sorts of graphics and stuff.
Right.
So tell me about your thought process and your results when it comes to promoting the Eclipse Awards.
It first starts with panic, and then moves from panic into action. And every year, the Eclipse Awards, the marketing of the awards is it is for us a very large task. This is what is my schooling on what it is the ceiling of what we are capable of. What we do at the Eclipse Awards is my schooling on that, and it's you have to come up if you're going to focus on one thing, you focus on that one thing. And pretty much for January, February, and March, all other social media campaigns really just, we update Facebook every day and things of that nature. But in terms of actual hardcore marketing, it's the only thing that we do for those 3 months because it just takes all the oxygen out of the room. It's just what it is. We have to reach a certain level, a certain predetermined number
And
of
what do you measure
entries.
that? Okay, entries.
It's all done by budget.
Okay.
And we have to reach a certain level of entries in order by X date, okay, in order to be able to fulfill the full range of the award ceremony, the nomination ceremony. I mean, all the expenses,
What
all
are
that
some
stuff.
milestones that you use to benchmark that and know that you're on
Well,
target for your goal?
for that specific campaign, we get the online entries. We get the notifications every day as they come in, and it's something that is just riveted to my eyeballs.
Do you
during that
track
period.
the amount of people that are like coming to the page and then not filling out the form? Do you
We've just started doing the Facebook Pixel last year, and now that the awards are every other year, which is a blessing, we now have the time to and so that was a big thing for a small operation. You just never had the time to integrate the data. Okay, Facebook Pixel gives you this great feature.
Yeah.
Okay, where you can track what they're doing when they come to your website. And maybe you need to modify your website. Maybe you need to modify the language. But we never had the time to implement that. It was always like, oh my God, we got the next one. And so that's the beauty of now the awards being every other year. We now have the opportunity and the luxury to do that. So we do have the Facebook Pixel data. We just haven't plugged it in yet. But usually what it is, it's thinking of a new campaign, a new idea, a new slogan, a new something, knowing that humor works.
Yeah.
You and I talked one time about the memes and using those,
Yeah.
and that was very successful.
Just go back rewind a little bit for that third point. I never got to. I would say posting memes, images, just Google search a bunch of things, curating content and posting that. If you can't write, you can't be on video,
Right.
just curate other people's content and put it out there.
As long as you have permission.
Yeah.
Always being aware,
Yeah.
using the
There's
copyright clearances.
royalty-free sites that you can find it on.
Right. I think the big thing with but like with the Eclipse Awards is that the big challenge is going to be the that coming up with new marketing concepts and ideas every day.
Yeah.
And it's, going in the studio and, I have a tuxedo jacket and a tuxedo tie and a tuxedo shirt back in the men's dressing room. And I have jeans on, but I just throw that on because it's a waist up only shot. And then we go in the studio and I take a couple statues and I go, hey, everyone here on Facebook, here we are, boom, bam, boom, bam.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your entries in, theeclipseward.com, call now, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
goodbye. And you just throw that out there. And Facebook loves that immediacy. So they goose it. and it gets in front of a few more eyeballs. And then, okay, that's what I did today. Tomorrow's coming, and I got to think of something else. So you can see how it really does. These kind of intense campaigns for small operations really do, they consume all the bandwidth.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's engaging. I think you always work best when you are pinned up against a wall.
Whenever
with
there's
a deadline.
pressure, you get things done.
Oh, traditionally that's always been my thing. I mean, I worked. I'm a writer by quasi trade. I trade, I guess. And many years ago, I got hired to write a full-length feature film, out in Los Angeles, and it was the most grueling thing I had ever done in my life professionally, where every single day I was expected to perform intricate tap dances, so to speak, creatively, to come up with creative solutions, pull rabbits out of hats. I mean, otherwise I was going to lose the bloody job.
Yeah.
And I needed to eat. and it was a good paying gig, and I was, writing my first film. And I came out of that process as sharp as a tack. And I think that's one of the things that that kind of pressure does, create.
Necessity is the
right. I would encourage everybody to who goes into that. Yes, it's a slog. Yes, it's tough, but you come out of it at the other end focused, sharp. I was to the point where I taught a creative writing class where you could throw me a word and I could create a scene from a word, because that's what the producers in LA were essentially doing to me.
So maybe some advice for a business owner is just give yourself a bunch of pressure, launch a campaign, and learn from the
as long as it doesn't have any health consequences like high blood pressure. So I've been very fortunate. I have low blood pressure. I wouldn't do this to myself. Obviously as you get older, you become a little more health conscious, and I mean I wouldn't induce anxiety and blood pressure and ulcers just for the sake of that. But if that I'm a type A. Yeah. And if you're a type A, you thrive on that. That's your jet fuel. That's your energy. That's your your vitamin pill. So that can be very beneficial. And I would recommend that. Just because it definitely does get you out of, I really don't really feel like doing it. It kicks you out of that rut that you're in and gets you back on the road.
For me personally, the fire I put under myself is I just decided to go full time with being self-employed, and that was not having any other source of income lit a fire under me that I have to hustle.
Starvation
hard.
Is a motivator.
Yeah, exactly. I got to pay bills. I got to do all these things. So I have to work. I have to make this work. And so far, it's been great. I'm over a year into it, and I still haven't defaulted. So, I think pressure is honestly a huge component to
and it's like and for anyone out there who's in a small business or a small nonprofit and who is really considering or realizes that they need to engage this social media digital marketing, I think that you got to use that. Obviously, the last thing a small business owner needs is more anxiety. What the hell? I mean, I don't need that. Why would I do that? But looking at it in a wholesome forest view kind of perspective, and realizing that this is all really, a tool that I can use to build my business, to build my nonprofit, is really the answer.
So we're just about out of time. So I want to close this out with 2 more questions. First, what would you say is the percentage of your marketing budget is put into social media? And can you say that?
Oh, I would say virtually all of it.
Yeah.
We're talking like 90%.
Yes.
90%. Years ago, we bought billboards. Years ago, we did billboards here, and we did lawn signs back in the old day. Yeah, you do what works. I mean, I remember driving on a Sunday night with my hatchback loaded with lawn signs for a station event and driving and just popping lawn signs all over the city.
And would you say it's been
And it worked.
better
Back then it
or
worked.
worse moving your marketing budget towards the online space?
Better. Oh, definitely better. Definitely better. I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely been a plus movement of doing that level of engagement because it is so much more accurate for the dollar you invest. I mean, even when I did the famous lawn sign midnight spree of spraying them all over the city,
Yeah.
they were still being seen by eyeballs that had no interest whatsoever.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah.
And then last thing I want to ask is, what are your biggest flops and biggest successes?
The biggest flops.
Just like name your biggest flop and your biggest success doing online marketing.
I think the biggest success would be the Eclipse Awards because it is built over the years into a prestigious, we saw a need, we had a need, and there was another need out there in the creative community, and we saw that need, and we created an answer to that, and we marketed it accordingly, and it built up over the years. I would say that would be the biggest success. The biggest flop, I would say we did it wasn't really a flop. It just didn't perform how we wanted it to. That was a buy a brick campaign that we did pre-social media. Are you looking for
I'm looking for a
something
flop on social media.
Flop on social media. So far,
The biggest learning mess.
so far, no flops. The biggest learning was the Eclipse Awards. We have learned a tremendous amount by doing what we've done on the Eclipse Awards. I mean, there may have been things with regard to the Eclipse Awards digital marketing that maybe didn't perform. Little things.
There's a lot of little things that
just didn't perform. But in the overall, there's
yeah.
been digital marketing wise, there have been no flops.
Right.
I mean, because flops is a big word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of it's like hate. It just has all these.
Too much negativity.
Yeah, just
there.
things that didn't perform 100%. Yeah, there was. I mean, what we've done, and what we are doing, we are seeing good levels of engagement. Relative to what we're investing in it.
Right.
And now we are really in the age-old conundrum of, if there was more time and if there was more money, we could do more. Well, so there it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time
thanks
to be
for
on
having
this
me.
podcast. Again, this is Tom Norton. He is the general manager for WKTV, which is also the host of this podcast. And if you want to start your own podcast, you can come check it out. Go to WKTV.org. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.